It is Monday, 10 a.m. EST. I'm Lisa Angel Smith, host of the Plant Protocol podcast, back with another episode. And I had mini a post go baby viral recently, and thought it would be really relevant to have this conversation today about chronic stress. There's a post on my Instagram page, there's a post on my TikTok page, there's a post on my Facebook page that has been shared thousands and thousands of times. So first of all, thank you guys for sharing this post about chronic stress. And this post about chronic stress has been doing so well that I thought we should have a conversation this morning about the one skill that I've personally used to combat chronic stress in my life multiple times in multiple different periods in multiple different circumstances. So, what I want to do this morning is give you three examples, health, personal, and professional example, where I have used this skill to deal with chronic stress in certain periods of my life. I know it is a very, very serious topic for a lot of us today. And like I said, this post about chronic stress on my page on Instagram is done about, we're approaching 150,000 views on this post, and it's been shared over 7,000 times. And even more than that, if you add in Facebook and TikTok and everything. So I'm like, oh, this is a big deal, right? And so I've been sharing with you guys this free masterclass that I did about chronic stress. But I want to talk about something a little different today. Good morning, Rochelle on YouTube. Hey, good morning, Instagram. Um, and so you guys are already dropping questions. Who me 26 on Instagram says, what if stress has become the norm? So let's talk about it. And I want to share with you guys this one skill that I've personally used to combat chronic stress. Because if shout out to Who me on 26 who says, what if stress has become the norm? If it's chronic, it has. So let me make a distinction before we get in today's conversation, which is stress is a normal part of life. Like stress is to be expected. I don't want to um, make the mistake of saying something that makes people believe that it's abnormal to have stress. It is normal to have stress as humans in life. The difference, though, is that all stress isn't created equal and all stress isn't the same. And sometimes because we know stress is normal and that, things are going to come up and things are going to happen and we're going to deal with a plethora of experiences over our lifetime, sometimes we believe that it is normal to be chronically stressed. So there's two types of stress. There's acute and there's chronic. And I want to make sure you guys understand that acute is normal. Acute means it's short. It has a end date. Like we know, like once this situation is resolved, or once this project is over, or once I get through this difficult breakup or divorce or whatever, it's acute. It's stressful, but we know it's not going to last forever. And the best type of stress is also purposeful, right? So it might be a big undertaking to write a book like I'm doing right now. And it's kind of stressful. It's my first book, but it's purposeful. I know it's not going to last forever. There's a reward at the end of all of the hard work and the overwhelm. And that's the type of stress that we want to actually invite in. It's very helpful. But there are certain types of stress that are killing us slowly. And this is emotional stress. This is chemical stress. This is physical stress that's killing a lot of us slowly. And we do not have a way out. There is no end date. There is no exit strategy, right? It's not purposeful. It's not meaningful. And therefore, it causes us all types of overwhelm and health challenges. And that is the type of stress that I want to address today, the chronic stress. Good morning, Doreen on YouTube. I got tea with me today, y'all. I got my herbal tea that I'm going to be sipping. And I'm going to try to breeze through this really quickly because I don't want to hold y'all long. But I was like, Lisa, we got to talk about stress today because this post has been going crazy on my page. So let's get into the one skill that has personally helped me to combat stress in three different areas. It is very, very simple. The one skill that has helped me in my health and personal relationships and in my business to combat chronic stress over and over and over again is the skill of decision making. So let me give you guys examples of what I mean by that. I'm going to start with health because y'all know that's my lane, right? Plant-based health coach. This is what I do. This is my jam. So Doreen said, I want that cup. You can't have it. Let me take a sip. just to flex a little bit. Okay, so the one skill that has helped me is decision making. But let me tell you what I mean by decision making. What I have found as a coach, I've been a coach for we're approaching a decade in a few months, and when I am coaching with our students, whether it's in their health, whether it's in their pursuit of living a life of radical obedience, or whether I'm coaching someone in their business, I'm a plant based business coach, I'm a plant based health coach. I help people start coaching businesses. And what I have found is overwhelmingly the number one reason that people find themselves in a state of stress is due to indecision. There is no doubt about it, a very distinct correlation between stress, overwhelm, angst, and indecision. Indecision. One of the questions that I started asking my clients years ago that I'm going to pose to you guys today is Is there a decision that you are avoiding making? Sometimes when people say, I don't know a way out, I don't know what to do about this situation, I'm so overwhelmed, I'm losing sleep, I'm losing my appetite, or I'm leaning into unhealthy foods. I'm emotionally eating one or the other. I'm eating too much and too bad, or I'm not eating at all. I'm not sleeping. I'm not exercising. It's like I'm having ruminating thoughts about this situation or this circumstance in my life. Oftentimes, when I ask them and get them in a private conversation, I'm like, is it that you really don't know what to do? Or is it that you are avoiding making a decision? There is a difference here, guys. I have found that indecision, the unwillingness to make a decision, has caused many people to stay in a state of chronic stress and overwhelm much longer than they would have to. And usually, the reason they are in this state, this overwhelming state of indecision, is because the decision that they're avoiding making is attached to someone else, and they're afraid of the outcome of making that decision. So, like, they're afraid of hurting somebody's feelings, they're afraid of disappointing someone. They're afraid of what other people will think. And so, it is not that I don't know what to do. And I want you guys to be very, very careful with confusing the two things, because if you really think about it, is it really that you have no idea what to do? Like, you don't know what your options are, you don't know where to turn, you don't know where to start. And don't get me wrong, there are some people for whom that is the truth, but there are many more of you for whom the truth really is, I'm avoiding making a decision. And because I'm staying in this gray area instead of being black or white on this issue, it's causing stress. It's causing prolonged angst. It's causing prolonged distress, right? And so this is the question I need you guys to pose to yourself. Okay, I'm in the midst of this relationship, or I'm in the midst of this job. I'm having this stuff going on in my career, or I'm having this stuff going on in my personal health, or I'm having this stuff going on in my personal finances, or I'm having this stuff going on with this relationship with a family member or a friend, this unresolved thing. Is it really that you don't know what to do that's causing you the stress? Or is the truth that you are avoiding making a decision? Because if I make the decision that I feel compelled to make, like in my body, you know what to do. If I make the decision that I feel drawn to, if I make the decision that I feel compelled to make, it is going to be a domino effect, and feelings are going to be hurt, and things are going to come out, or I'm going to be perceived a certain way, and that in my experience as a coach, in my nearly decade experience as a coach, has been the thing that has caused my clients to be chronically stressed over and over for longer and longer than they really have to be. All right. So I've told you guys that the one skill, the major skill that has helped me in multiple areas is being a decision maker. Now, let me give you several examples. I got 3 examples for you guys. Let's start with the first one, right? Come on, who me at 26 on Instagram. She said it's definitely avoidance. It's avoidance. That's exactly right. Is it really we don't know what to do, or is it just avoidance, right? Okay, so because Brianna on YouTube said, I'm gonna wait to do my hair because I know these edges might get snatched. Yeah, hold off on doing your hair this morning. Like, give it about an hour. Let me snatch the edges and you can lay them back down when we done. So good. Don't y'all start gassing me up. Okay, so listen, here's the first instance. In my health, y'all, I've been a plant-based vegan for a long time. And when I went vegan, I just went vegan. I just went vegan. Like, I went vegan, meaning I gave up all animal products. Vegan is just the absence of animal products. It's not necessarily the presence of plants, right? So when I first went vegan, I'm like, oh, I done lost 60 plus pounds. I'm about to maintain this weight loss. Everything is about to be amazing. And then something crazy started happening. As a speaker, I started getting on stages. As a coach, I started showing up to coaching sessions. And I noticed that some days my brain would be sharp, fire, crazy good. On other days, things will be moving a little slower. It will be harder for me to recall certain information. And I finally put two and two together. I'm like, oh man, I'm experiencing these lapses in my memory. I'm, having this slow processing time. And I realize I just had some sugar. I realize I had sugar last night. Or, if it's an evening coaching session, maybe earlier that morning, I had some refined sugar, right? And I noticed my brain wasn't firing as well as I'm used to it firing. So guess what I had to do? Now, this became a little stressful for me because I had got to a point where, as a speaker and as a teacher and as a coach, my brain is everything. Like, my brain is my bread and butter, first of all, but also my brain is my assignment. Like, God wants me to extend the healthy life expectancy for people of color. And so I can't do that if I'm not sharp. I have to create, right? I have to think, I have to problem solve, right? I have to become a public figure. I got to be on, right? I got to shake hands and kiss babies. I got to remember names. I got to remember science. I got to put together curriculums. I got to create fire content. I got to show up on this podcast and blow y'all minds. And so at any given moment, if my brain is not firing, that scares the HE double hockey sticks out of me, right? And so I was noticing several years ago that started happening. Like, my mind wasn't everything that I was used to my mind being. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, this is not the Lisa that I know. This is not the Lisa that I've taught people to expect. Right? I had taught people to expect fire every time I show up. And I wasn't feeling fire when it comes to my brain. And so when I made the connection between sugar and how quick my brain fires, and when I made the connection between sugar and my ability to recall, I realized I had to make a decision. I realized I could either continue the way I was going because I had to have a little sugar and everything in moderation, and I can't live without it. And so I could continue on this path where I know I'm not giving my best. I know I'm not showing up with a spirit of excellence, but I got this substance that has a hold on me that I can't see myself living without. And so in that moment, in order to combat the stress of my profession being compromised, I had to make a decision. The only way out was to make a decision. It wasn't to stay in the middle and say crazy stuff like, well, I'm going to just treat myself to this every now and then. I'm just going to allow myself to have a little bit. I'm just going to try and create these parameters so that I can still have the junk and the mess and the foolishness that I want to eat, and then possibly still serve my clients. No, the way that I can remove this entire problem off of my plate, the way I can remove this entire obstacle out of my life, is just by making a decision. And guess what? I gave up sugar and never looked back. My brain fires. I understand now what compromises my mind. And now I don't have to stress about whether or not it's a holiday or somebody's birthday or a gathering that I go to and I want to have some sugar, but I know on Monday morning I got to speak and teach. And I'm like, oh, I want to be good for my audience, but I want to have this cake today on Sunday night, but I want to be good for my audience on Monday morning. No. If you don't want to have that stress, if you want to buy back that mental real estate of things you think about all the time, make a decision. Make a decision. That is I promise you, that is the best skill I've ever developed in order to buy back my mental real estate and free myself from the things that were chronically overwhelming my thoughts. Make a decision. So, that is one example in my health. Let me give you guys two more examples on how I had to make a decision in order to free myself from a stressful situation. Okay. Let's talk relationally and personally right quick. Okay. Y'all know relationships be relationshiping, right? Y'all know relationships be relationshiping. Hey, come on, Instagram. Y'all on like good morning, hello on a Monday. Hello and good morning to y'all too. Okay, so a while back, right? I was in a relationship and in the relationship, we decided to end the relationship. But we ended the relationship quite amicably, like friends. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't be beefing with people. I don't got that type of energy. So we ended the relationship very friendly, so much so that we stayed friends, right? However, that can be really challenging when you love someone, right? So we go from being partners to being friends, but the feelings haven't really changed, but the title has, right? And so I remember trying to be friends with this person, and I'm still in my mind trying to reconcile everything that happened in the relationship because it was an amicable split, but it was still like disturbing, right? And so I'm in my mind trying to reconcile it at the same time, still trying to maintain and pivot to a friendship with this person. And so it became a point where, and the only reason the relationship didn't work out is because we didn't want the same things. It was very basic. It was, I wanted to live one place and they wanted to live somewhere else. That was the whole reason for the split, right? And so it wasn't like earth shattering, you know what I mean? But it was just like, yo, I'm about to make this move and I'm not staying here. And so, you coming or nah? And they like, no, I don't think I can. I'm like, okay, well, we're not going to do the long distance thing. So it was just, we had to go our separate ways, but we still stayed friends because, again, it wasn't an earth shattering breakup. And so trying to pivot to friendship. And then I remember this person said something to me one day that said something about well, now I'm thinking about moving. After we done broke the whole relationship up and everything, he oh, now I'm thinking about maybe I need to just get out of here, whatever. And I was upset about it, right? And I remember I'm like, oh, this is next level. I felt disrespected by the comment, right? And so I decided, I'm like, okay, every time I talk to this person, I get mixed feelings, right? There's love there, but there's also irritation there. And I'm like, apparently, clearly, I got to make a decision because every time I think about this person, every time I'm with this person, trying to play these two parts of we're no longer this, but we're still hanging out and we're still, doing things for one another and being friendly and all this because we have been together for a while. It was too much. I was like, this is too confusing. It's too gray. So now I don't really do friends with people like that. I'm like, either we in or we out. But what I can't do is be confused. Okay. And so I had to make a decision because it was literally overwhelming me emotionally. I'm like, okay, it's not that I don't know what to do, right? We've already established that this isn't going to work. And the friendship thing don't work for me. And so I just got to make a decision. And I had to tell this person, I'm like, yo, I'll contact you when I'm ready for you to be back in my life. That was it. That was the last time they heard from me. They've never heard from me again because I ain't ready. You know what I mean? I'll contact you when I'm ready for you to be back in my life. Now, for you guys, this could be any relationship. This doesn't have to be romantic. It can be familial. It can be friendly. It can be a colleague. It can be a professional relationship. But if there's a relationship that's causing you stress or causing you overwhelm or just taking up too much mental real estate and you just want to buy back that space, I'm telling you right now, the one skill that you have to develop quickly and not just develop, but activate is decision making. It's decision making, right? It's I can hold on to this relationship because there's some good things about it, but also I don't like the way it's making me feel. And you get to choose how you want to feel every single day. And I didn't want, like, I like to feel good when I talk to people. I don't like to be confused. I don't like to be in gray areas. Like, it's just too much for me because I'm too busy trying to work on this. So I need my business, for me, requires so much mentally and emotionally, like running my coaching company, that I need everything in my life, everything else in my life to be clean cut. Like, I need not have to think about anything else. So at any given moment, if any other area in my life turns gray, it's not black or white, I'm like, oh, we got to fix this. We got to fix it because I'm doing some, my assignment is too large professionally for me to have things going on in other areas that are not clear to me. And so for me, I had to make a decision. And I told them, yo, I'll contact you when I'm ready for you to be back in my life. It's what it was, right? It's what it was, right? I love Workplace Vibes on Instagram says, when we pay attention to what our bodies are saying, it helps to move us to decide. 100%. I had a coach a couple years ago that I really love, by the way, Workplace Vibes. And she said, she taught me the language, full body yes. So we were talking about decision making in one of our sessions, and she was just telling us how she makes decisions. And she's like, if it's not a full body yes, then I don't move forward. And I'm like, full body yes. That sounds super fancy. Y'all like manifesting and stuff? Like, what's a full body yes? Like, that don't sound like a regular yes. You know what I mean? But her and there were some other like spiritual people in the group, and they were just teaching me like how to feel decisions and feel things in your body, right? So if it's not a full body yes, or is it a full body no? Like, what's coming up for you? Not just like mentally and intellectually, but like what's coming up for you physically and metaphysically and emotionally, right? All of that is answering and making the decision for you. Come on, Poor Connection on Instagram, pull it together. Pull it together. So that part, make a decision. So let's get into example number 3. What y'all talking about here on YouTube? Rochelle said, I'll contact you when I'm ready for you to be part of my life. Classic. I'll have to remember and use this. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll contact you when I'm ready for you to be back in my life, because right now it's just emotionally it's distressing for me. Emotionally is distressing for me. So let me like break up, get over it, move on, and then we can revisit the idea of X, Y, and Z. But there's not like, we can't just go from one thing to the next that quickly. Like, I need time to transition mentally and emotionally, right? And so you got to make a decision. That was firm decision making that helped me to successfully exit that circumstance. Let's talk about another one in another area that might resonate with you, some of you guys, which is work and professional decision making. So let me tell you about a time where things had got kind of stressful in my business. So you guys know I run a coaching company, plant-based coaching company. We do plant-based health coaching, plant-based business coach. I'm a business coach. I help people start their own coaching businesses and service-based businesses. And there were several years ago, I think at the top of the pandemic, so maybe about 4 years ago or so, where like financially in our business, I wanted us to go to another level, right? So I had just hired this coach, right? Matter of fact, it's the same coach that taught me this full body yes language, right? So I had a full body yes to her offer, and I hired her as my coach. And I remember we were dissecting my business, and I was kind of going through her curriculum, and she charged me with the task of raising our prices. So financially, we needed to get to a certain place in business, and her solution to that was like, based on what you're selling, based on the receipts that you have, based on how long you've been doing it, and based on the fact that you're really selling a product that does exactly what it says it's going to do. Like, I was selling our plant-based coaching program, and I'm like, yo, everybody that comes in, they lose weight, they start getting off medications, like it goes crazy. She's like, Lisa, your prices are just too low. Okay. Now, here's what the stress was: not that we wanted our business to go to another level. The stress for me in this instance was that my coach was telling me to do something that I was scared to do. I was scared to raise our prices at that time. So my coach was giving me instruction, and I needed to be coachable, but I was afraid to make the decision that she was asking me to make. She's like, based on your goals, And most importantly, based on the value of what you're selling. So we don't raise prices in business just for the sake of raising prices. That's not the best, most ethical way to do it. You raise prices based on understanding the value of what you're selling. So it's like the value of what I'm selling can actually demand a higher price point, right? It's not just about, oh, I think I deserve more. People don't know my worth. No. Okay, that's not it. First of all, your worth is infinite and cannot be quantified. And secondly, your prices have to be based on what the market will bear and the value that you're getting and the value that you're giving, excuse me, and the perceived value from your prospect, right? It don't matter if you know your stuff is valuable. Do they know your stuff is valuable? Anyway, we'll talk business later. Okay, moving on, Lisa, stay focused. Okay, so the stress here came from she wants me to raise my prices, and I'm afraid that people won't pay the new price point. So it became kind of stressful. I'm afraid that people won't pay the new price point. And I had to ruminate over this for a while, so much so that I was in the middle of finishing up a cohort of that program, Farm to Table. And I asked our students, I think we might have had 20 something students that semester for Farm to Table. And I asked them, I'm like, hey guys, you guys just got finished with the program. So you guys are like the perfect pool to study and ask this question. I'm like, you guys just finished Farm to Table. What did you think? You know, based on what you paid, we're thinking about raising the price. Do you think it'll be worth that? I just asked the people that I'm going to be serving. Like, I'm like, my coach is telling me to do this, but there's a part of me that needs some type of additional information to make this decision because it was stressing me out. It was overwhelming me. I was scared. I'm like, we're going to lose the whole business. We're going to lose the whole business if we raise these prices, right? Just all the limiting beliefs that comes up. And I asked this particular cohort, what do you guys think about us raising the price of this program? Do you think it'll be worth X, Y, and Z? And when I tell you, overwhelmingly, our students were like, absolutely. Absolutely, you can definitely afford to raise this price. We got this result, this result, this result. It was amazing. Go for it. I would have paid that, by the way. And I'm like, what? And and let me tell you guys, we were raising the price. We were like 4Xing the price. Yeah, we were 4Xing the price, right? So it wasn't just like a $100 bump. It wasn't like a $200 bump. We were 4Xing the price. We were taking it from a 3-figure to a 4-figure price point. And they were like, yep. They were like, green light, you got our blessing. And I'm like, that's crazy, right? And so the thing in this circumstance that helped me overcome like the stress that came with making a decision in our business, again, was making a decision about our pricing so we can go to the next level instead of toggling back and forth about it for a year or months and being overwhelmed and then continuing to not be from a revenue standpoint where I thought the company needed to be, cash flow positive, to stay in business, right? And so the stress was alleviated when I made a decision again. Okay. So let me wrap up today by saying this. I told you guys the one skill that has really helped me to combat chronic stress in multiple seasons of my life has been decision making. But I want you guys to catch something in case you didn't. And that is, I use the word skill. I use the word skill, and that is not an accident. So let me make something very clear to you guys, which is this. I said skill because decision making, anybody can do it, but not everyone does it well. Anybody can do it, but not everybody does it well. So what that means is there is good decision making and not so good decision making. And so the thing I want to leave you guys with today, right, is if you're going to use the skill of decision making in order to combat chronic stress in your life, meaning you're going to get out of the gray areas and you're going to start pulling the trigger on decisions. You're going to make firm decisions to buy back your mental real estate. The thing that you need that is a prerequisite to being a good decision maker is emotional intelligence. Okay. There's a difference between making decisions, which more people need to do. That indecisiveness will take you out the game. But then you graduate eventually and hopefully as quickly as possible from you go from indecisive to decisive, and you go from decisive to being a good decision maker. And there is a difference. And you have to have a good decision making skills in order to be able to then trust yourself going forward. Good decision making comes from emotional intelligence, because if you have not mastered the art of making decisions without being in a heightened state of emotion, then you are going to find yourself right back in the state of chronic stress. So chronic stress can be alleviated for a lot of us, not everybody. Some people really are in places where they don't know what to do. They don't know what their options are. But many of you are just avoiding making decisions. I know it for a fact. I've been a coach for a long time. I've seen it over and over and over again. We're avoiding making decisions, and as a result, we stay stressed out. And then we stay stressed out because we're avoiding making decisions because we don't feel like we can trust our decision making. And we can't trust our decision making maybe because we've had a history of making not so great decisions. And part of the reason we have a history of making not so great decisions because for many of us, our EQ is below average. For many people, their IQ is below average, and that's a sad, sad state. But that ain't none of y'all. Don't nobody follow me with low IQs. But for a lot of people follow me with low EQs. We don't work so hard on getting our IQ up, degrees, certification, years of experience. Like y'all super smart. Y'all should have capes with super smart on the back. Y'all IQ ain't a problem. EQ, problem. Okay. So that means you get in your feelings and you make self-destructive decisions. You get in your feelings and you eat. You get in your feelings and you abandon your exercise regimen. You get in your feelings and you start talking reckless to people. You get in your feelings and you start self-deprecating. You get in your feelings and you don't make the best decisions. So your IQ, you can let your foot off your gas. You can let your foot off the gas a little bit on your IQ. You good. Like what you've learned so far is probably you good. Stop trying to learn so many new things to develop your IQ, and your EQ is still below average. And so if you want to become a good decision maker, not just a decision maker, but a good decision maker, meaning someone who can trust themselves to make decisions when they get into states of stress, you have to work on your emotional intelligence. And this is the art of feeling your feelings without being self-destructive. That is going to help solve a lot of our challenges. Notice I said our, collectively. I'm with y'all in this thing. Okay. So I didn't use the word skill just happenstance or lackadaisically here. Like I want you guys to understand, I called it a skill because for many of us, the skill of decision making needs to be developed. For many of us, we have not mastered the art of good decision making. Some of us are even on the lowest level, which is we ain't even mastered the art of making decisions. And so I want you guys to understand that the chronic stress that you're experiencing, the question, if you weren't here in the beginning, we're going to end the same way we started today. The question that I need you to ask yourself, if you are currently experiencing chronic stress, is this: is there a decision that I'm avoiding making? Now, I can almost guarantee you, if the answer is yes to that question, yes, Coach Lisa, there is a decision that I'm avoiding making. I can almost guarantee you, if I say, why are you avoiding making that decision? Your answer is going to have something to do with feelings. I can almost guarantee you. I can I'm avoiding having this tough conversation with my partner or with my boss or whatever because I'm afraid, fear, emotion, because I'm worried, emotion. Because people are going to think a certain way about me, insecurity, emotion. Everything is coming back to our inability to process or deal with or anticipate emotions in a healthy way. And so we stay in states of undesirable circumstances because our decision making skill, like our decision making muscle, is weak. It's weak. And so we got to start making decisions. We got to start making them quicker, and we got to get better at making them. And we do that by driving up our EQ. driving up our EQ. Okay. So I hope this episode was super helpful for you guys today. If you guys want to know 6 ways that I've personally improved my own emotional intelligence, then I will invite you to episode 45 here on the Plant Protocol podcast. Episode 45 is called 6 Ways That I Improved My Emotional Intelligence. That will jumpstart a lot of you guys into a life free of chronic stress. Okay. What's the skill? Decision making. How do I get better? Improve my EQ. Where do I start? Episode 45 on the Plant Protocol podcast. Okay. Love you guys. You guys are great. You guys are amazing. Thank you for joining me today. I'll be back here next Monday, same time, 10 a.m. Eastern. And you guys, I'm thinking we might make this a little mini series. That's what came up in my spirit last week. So if you guys want to consider continue this conversation about chronic stress, I'm thinking we might do that together and keep talking about chronic stress as these posts continue to go viral, go baby viral. I'm not trying to get too big for my britches, but they don't went baby viral across multiple platforms. And so I just took that as a sign that we needed to have deeper conversations about chronic stress. So Rochelle said it was helpful. Yay!